Daegu, a town where every neighbor knew each other's Wi-Fi passwords, where silence only lived inside the Lee mansion. It was a large, cold house that smelled like money and emotional absence. A house where Lee Y, in 22, had lived her entire life, yet never called it home. Born on a rainy spring morning, her mother had died before she even opened her eyes. Her father, Mr. Lee, remarried within a year. Two sons came after, loud, spoiled, and adored, and Wyan. She became the forgotten bookmark in her father's life story. Fed, clothed, schooled, but never loved, never asked how her day went. Never told she did well, she grew up quietly, smiling anyway, studying hard, and pouring her entire heart into the only thing that gave her peace, software design. But even shadows sometimes find sunlight. For Wyan, that light lived next door. Try this, my child. It's sweet rice cake with honey drizzle, Mrs. Kim said, pushing the plate toward Wyan with a warm smile. Wyan's eyes sparkled. Her hair was tied messily with a pencil sticking out, and she had a highlighter stain on her cheek. Why, Auntie, you made this yourself? She asked, taking a big bite. Mrs. Kim giggled. Do you think I let your future mother-in-law cook from packets? Wyan choked. Her cheeks flamed. Auntie. Don't say such things. But she wasn't really mad. She was just embarrassed. Because somewhere in her heart, she didn't hate the thought. Somewhere in her mind, the cold, distant Kim Taehyung, Mrs. Kim's only son, lived quietly. He didn't visit often, but when he did, Wyan's whole soul seemed to short-circuit. That one time he helped her fix her laptop. She thought she'd die from how fast her heart beat. That other time he opened the gate for her and nodded. She had to call Hyeri to scream into the phone for 5 minutes straight. And Mrs. Kim, she saw it all. She noticed how Wyan blushed when she heard his name. How she suddenly found excuses to come over when Taehyung was visiting. How she watched him from the corner of her eye like a forbidden dessert. But Mrs. Kim didn't tease, she just smiled. My son needs someone who will soften his silence, and this girl. She burned the whole world just to light his path. And so, when Mr. Kim passed away and Taehyung buried himself in work, Mrs. Kim made a decision. Before I leave this world, I'll tie my son to the only girl who ever looked at him like he mattered. And across the street, in his high-rise office, Kim Taehyung, 32, dark-eyed, cold-voiced, emotionally unreachable, worked endlessly, unaware that fate was already preparing his heart for something it had never known, warmth. The smell of roasted sesame oil and seaweed soup floated through the Kim kitchen like a soft lullaby. Mrs. Kim, humming a trot song under her breath, stirred the pot while Wyan sat at the small breakfast table, her legs tucked under her in a messy cross. Wyan giggled as she ate a rice ball, talking nonstop. Wyan, Auntie, this is so good. I swear if you open a restaurant, I'll design it for free. But you have to name it Mrs. Kim's Love Kitchen, no arguments. Mrs. Kim laughing, yeah. And who will do the cleaning if I become a restaurant CEO? Wyan and me, obviously, your favorite unpaid worker. The two shared a warm laugh, one that echoed through the kitchen like music. Wyan was in her comfort zone, hair in a loose braid, cheeks glowing, eyes sparkling. She didn't even realize she was still wearing her university hoodie stained with ink. And then, the front door opened. Click. A pause. Wyan didn't even turn. She assumed it was the housekeeper. Until Mrs. Kim casually, Taehyung, you're early today. Wyan mouth full, Taehyung. She whipped around so fast her braid smacked her shoulder. There he was, Kim Taehyung, hair damp from a light drizzle. Black coat half open, rolled up sleeves. Eyes that could slice silence in half. He blinked at her. She blinked back. And then, in pure panic, Wyan picked up her cup of tea, tried to drink it, missed her mouth entirely, and poured it down her front. Wyan, tea's hot, it's hot, it's hot, Mrs. Kim rushing. Yeah, your hand weight, cold water. Taehyung was beside her in 2 steps, grabbing a kitchen towel, gently pulling her wrist toward him. Taehyung quiet but firm. Let me see. Why-in was too stunned to move. Their hands touched. His fingers were cold. Her heart was melting. Taehyung checking carefully. No burn. Just shock. You okay? She looked up at him. Nodded like a broken toy. Mrs. Kim teasing. She's fine. Just short-circuited seeing you. That's all. Why-in looked like she wanted the floor to eat her alive. Taehyung, a tiny smirk threatened the edge of his lips. But it never quite appeared. He just placed the towel on the table and turned toward his room. Taehyung without looking back. I'll wash up. Click. Door closed. Why-in groaned and buried her face into the table. Why-in muffled. I just baptized myself in front of the most beautiful man alive. Auntie, just bury me here, Mrs. Kim giggling. I'll bury you next to him if you keep looking at him like that. The evening rain tapped softly on the windows. The warm scent of soy braised chicken filled the quiet kitchen, but Taehyung hadn't touched his plate. He sat at the table in his gray sweatshirt, arms crossed, staring down at the food like it was a loaded question. Across from him sat Mrs. Kim, sleeves rolled up, wiping her hands on a kitchen towel. The silence was thick. Until she finally broke it, Mrs. Kim softly, I want to talk about why-in. Taehyung blinked. He didn't look up. Taehyung, is something wrong? Mrs. Kim gently, no, that's the thing. Nothing is wrong with her. She's smart, kind, respectful. And she's completely alone. Taehyung sighed, already sensing where this was going. Taehyung, Ama. Mrs. Kim cutting him. You know her father doesn't even look at her. She grew up like a ghost in that house. If I didn't feed her, talk to her, hug her, who would? Taehyung quiet. She's still a child, Mrs. Kim. She's 22. She's a woman. And she's stronger than most people I know. She survived in a house that treats her like furniture and still smiles like sunshine. He leaned back, jaw tightening. Taehyung, I'm 10 years older. She has dreams, a future. I'm not going to cage her in a house as my wife, Mrs. Kim firm now. You think I'm asking this to put her in a cage? No, Taehyung, I'm asking you to give her a home. The one she's never had. He looked up at her and instantly regretted it, her eyes wet and blinking. Mrs. Kim voice shaking. I lost your father. I have one son. I don't want to leave this world without knowing someone warm will stay beside you. He swallowed hard, his hands clenched on the table. Mrs. Kim whispering, she looks at you like you hung the stars, and you. You don't even realize your silence wraps around her like safety. Taehyung looked away. Mrs. Kim final blow. If not for her, then do it for me, please, son. Silence, a long breath. Taehyung didn't speak for a full minute. Then finally Taehyung quiet, defeated. If she agrees, I won't say no. Mrs. Kim instantly smiling through her tears. She agree. She'd marry you even if you offered her a cactus instead of a ring. He finally let out a breath and shook his head. Taehyung, I'm going to regret this, aren't I? Mrs. Kim smirking. No, my son. You're going to fall so hard, you'll forget how to walk straight. The Lee mansion looked rich, yes, but it was always eerily quiet. Why-in was at her university library when it happened. A black car pulled up to the front porch. Mrs. Kim, elegant as ever, stepped out in a crisp handbag and entered the Lee home with confidence and steel in her eyes. Mr. Lee barely looked up from his whiskey glass. Mrs. Kim calmly, I came with a proposal. I want to arrange a marriage between your daughter and my son. Mr. Lee raised a brow. Mr. Lee mocking, that girl, what will she bring your son? She's a burden here. Mrs. Kim smiling coldly, she bring him peace. Something I don't think she's ever found in this place. Mr. Lee smirked. Mr. Lee, take her then. She's your problem now. But don't bring her back crying when your son gets tired of her. Mrs. Kim's eyes narrowed slightly. Mrs. Kim final tone. If anyone makes her cry in my house, it won't be my son, and if it ever is, I'll make sure she doesn't shed a single tear alone. And just like that, the deal was made. 2 weeks later, Wyman came home from class, backpack slipping off one shoulder, notebook in hand. Mrs. Kim had called her over for dinner, but this time the air felt different. Mrs. Kim, come inside, sweetheart. Sit here. There's something I want to tell you. Wyman sat down nervously. Wyman, did I do something wrong? Mrs. Kim took her hands, Mrs. Kim smiling warmly. I'm getting old. I don't want to leave this world with regrets, so I've arranged for my son to marry someone I trust with my whole heart. Wyden blinked. Her heart dropped. Wyden, oh, that's amazing. I'm happy for him. Who is she? Mrs. Kim leaned in. Mrs. Kim softly. You. Wyden stared, frozen, eyes wide, brain not responding. Yn, Emmy, Mrs. Kim. He's agreed. And your father has signed off too. We'll keep the engagement private until your graduation, but this ring is yours now. From her jewelry box, she pulled out a simple, elegant band, platinum, no diamonds. Just timeless. Wyden whispering. He agreed? Mrs. Kim, yes, and don't worry. I didn't tell him how red your cheeks get when you see him. It was just the three of them, Mrs. Kim, Wyden wearing a soft lavender dress, and Taehyung standing near the window in a black button-up, eyes unreadable. Mrs. Kim handed him the ring. He walked to Wyden slowly, silently. She stood still, hands shaking slightly. Taehyung soft but flat. May I? She nodded, couldn't even speak. He took her hand, slid the ring on her finger, paused, and then he looked up at her, just for a moment, and in his eyes, something flickered, something that scared her, something that thrilled her. Taehyung. It fits, Mrs. Kim clapping. Of course it fits. Fated things always do. Yn laughed nervously. Taehyung said nothing more, just nodded once and stepped back. And yet her heart kept racing for hours afterward. It had only been 2 days since Yn got engaged to KIMTAEHYUNG. A quiet, simple ceremony, just close family. No big fuss, no celebration, but her heart had fluttered with hope. He wasn't overly warm, no sweet words, but he was there. He put the ring on her finger with steady hands. And he promised they'd marry once she finished college. Then he left. Taehyung flew to New York. Business emergency, company project. He said he'd be gone a few weeks. It had now been 3 months. And Wyden had stopped waiting at the gate. She sat on her bed that night, phone in hand, staring at his name on the screen for too long before finally dialing. It rang once, twice, Taehyung flat tone. Yeah, her heart thudded painfully. Wyden soft. Hey ... it's me. Did I call at a bad time? Taehyung, no, just tired. What's up? His voice hadn't changed. Still dry, still distant, like they were strangers. Wyden trying to smile. I just wanted to know how you're doing. Eating well, sleeping okay. Taehyung, yeah, I'm fine. Silence. She clutched her pillow tighter. Wyden whispering, do you ... do you miss me? A pause. Taehyung without hesitation, no. Her chest tightened. Her voice cracked. Wyden forcing a smile, not even a little. Taehyung, no. She stared at the wall, eyes blurring. Wyden quietly, oh ... okay. She hesitated, then took a deep breath. Wyden, can you come back? Just for a few days. We could get married and you can return. It doesn't have to be big. Just simple, just us. Taehyung sighed deeply. Taehyung, why and what's the hurry? We'll get married once I'm back. Focus on your studies. I'm really busy here. She nodded slowly. Her voice dropped to a whisper. Wyden, okay, I'm sorry. I just miss you. Taehyung coldly. Go to sleep. It's late there. Wyden barely audible. Okay, Taehyung. Bye, Wyden. Be dashed by ... double quotes click. I'm sorry. I just miss you. Taehyung coldly. Go to sleep. It's late there. YN barely audible HM okay Taehyung by YN B dash by dot 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 double quotes click. YN broken whisper, I miss you. But maybe we were never meant to be. She looked at the ring on her finger and took it off gently, placing it on the table. YN sobbing, I won't be here when you come back, not for you to marry me. Not in this life. She buried her face into her hands and cried until she could barely breathe. The next morning, YN is called to her father's study. Mr. Lee, smiling like a vulture, says, You're getting married in 2 weeks. He's 50, rich, and giving me $5 million. You should be grateful, girl.